Hey all, this is Tapas. Welcome to the day one of the 40 days of JavaScript journey. I'm extremely excited, and I hope that you are equally excited and will be there with me till the end of this journey. If you have ever wondered how websites make the button clickable, how those animation works, how that interactivity comes on your web page, yes, JavaScript is the magic that is behind it. In the next 40 days, we will go from the extremely beginner step to the utmost advanced stage of learning JavaScript. By the end of it, you will be able to have a great grip on the JavaScript fundamentals. You will be able to create projects, you will be able to solve problems, and you will be able to contribute to the real world application with confidence. So let's get started. Let's talk about these 40 days, how these 40 days are going to be. Are we expecting a video each day, or we are expecting 40 videos with a gap of some days? It will be the second one. We won't be releasing a video every day because of a few reasons. With every videos, you will be given some task and the assignments to do. Initially, those tasks and assignments will be simpler, but as we progress, those assignments or tasks will have some project building by yourself, looking into the project that I will be teaching you to build. So it requires some time for you to grasp the concept and then do the project work, do the assignment, do the things that I'm teaching you, and then get prepared for the next lesson. I don't want you to do hurry. Believe me, no one can learn JavaScript in 60 minutes, 1 week, 1 month, even 40 days. It takes quite a long time for you to really have a grip on it. But you can gain the great confidence on JavaScript if you do it continuously, do it in structured way. And that is when it is possible to gain that greater confidence with 40 structured sessions within few months. So the aim will be exactly like that. And hence you can expect a session to drop for you in every couple of days so that you can not only go through the session deeply, but also get prepared with the assignments and the task from the previous session. I hope this makes a lot of sense to you. As we are talking about a structured learning, it will be great if you have some kind of tracker to track your progress. And so why I have created a tracker for you. This is a progress tracker which you can get it for free and then add it to your Notion account, and then you can track each day's progress with what I am teaching, how you are doing. Let's take a quick look at it, how to set it up and how to get started with it. You can find the tracker from my TopMate account, or you can follow the link that is given in the description of this video. Once you come here, you can read about this particular tracker, but straight away, if you want, you can go and access it for free. Once you click on this access button, you have to fill up your name, basic details like your email, phone number, and then there is a checkbox called get instant answer. I think you can uncheck it, you don't need it, so that your total amount payable become only 000. So you don't pay anything. But if you think that you wish to pay something, you can always select it from here. That's completely your choice, but you can get it for free. Then you do confirm and pay, click on it, and you will get a PDF to download, which will look like this. In this PDF, you can scroll down and you will find a section where you can get this progress tracker template link. Click on this. Clicking on this will open up this template page. On the top right of the page, you will get this button. It's called duplicate button. Click on the duplicate, and after duplicating, you have to add this page to your Notion workspace. By default, we all get Notion for free. In the free account of Notion, you can get a private space. There you can add this page. Once you have added, you can see this particular page reflects like 40 days of JS daily learning plan. Once you click on it, you will get a tracker like this. This is something you must use. So how to use this tracker? For every day's topic, for every day's module, you can add the video link. The video link, of course, you are getting from YouTube. You're watching it right now. Which date you have learned, you have started learning. You might start learning today itself when you're getting the video, or you might learn some later point of time. So put your learning date, then the status of it, whether it is in progress or this particular lesson is complete for you. What are the key takeaways that you think? For example, for today's lesson, we are going to do introduction to JavaScript, setting up the environment, so like basic of script, fast scripting, etc. And then here you have a page inside which you can do complete tracking. For example, you want to take notes, put your notes over here. If you want to track your assignment, because I will give task and assignments on every video, on every lesson. So for that, how you kind of make progress, you understanding the task. If there is a design, you're done with the design. If there is a coding involved, you're done with the coding. Then you write a readme because you put that code into your GitHub. Then you push to GitHub. Then we have a Discord community. I'm going to take you to that shortly. There we have a channel, and once you've done a task and assignment, you can post about it. You can post your GitHub repo, you can post the screenshot of your task, whatever you want. You should repeat the same for every session, every lesson we are going to take part in this 40 days of JavaScript. Why is it important? Because this is going to build habit in you. Many developers that I interact with, what they say, that starting is very easy, but being consistent, being motivated, and keep going on learning and completing it is the toughest part. People lose interest after 10 sessions, 15 sessions, 20 sessions, some after 30 sessions. They don't complete. It is like taking your antibiotic dose. If you don't complete the entire session what your doctor prescribes, you might not get the real benefit of the medicine, isn't it? Exactly. A thing like JavaScript, treat it same way. If you're starting with it, be on it, be regular, create habits, and this particular tracker is going to help you creating that habit. So mind my words, friends. This is for you, this is not for me. I am putting my time, you put your effort, you put your time, you will learn, and you will enjoy learning at the end of it. That's my guarantee. There are a few things at the bottom, like the community and support, how to engage. Please post comment on YouTube videos, like them, come to Discord, start discussing about things. Whenever I get time, I'll definitely respond to you on Discord as well. If you have any questions, if you need more clarifications, and if you have any other additional learning resources that you're getting into, please put their link over here. Because after you complete 40 days, you get into something. If you want to again refresh your memory, this is what is going to help you, not again going through my videos. So I hope you find it really helpful. So let's start talking about JavaScript. What is JavaScript? JavaScript is a programming language. So it means that you can write programming using JavaScript to build many things that can run on your browser or on a server side. On your browser, which usually we call as client side, and also on server side, where user interactions may not be there directly, but lot of data management, lot of user management, identity management, all these factors might be happening over there. There also you can use JavaScript. On your browser application also you can use JavaScript. It allows you to add user interactivity on your application. For example, the button click, the animation, doing something on movement of the mouse, or dynamically updating your web page. That's all JavaScript is very much capable of. Every modern websites you pick up today, be it Facebook, like a social media network, YouTube itself, Amazon, Netflix, you name it, JavaScript is there behind it. Even in 2025, JavaScript is still one of the most demand language for web developers to learn, and to learn it fundamentally. If you know JavaScript well, you can build websites, you can build web application, you can build mobile application, you can build games, even AI powered products. So JavaScript is very fundamental, and that's why we are going to start with that fundamental from the beginning till the end. So when we're starting with something as big as JavaScript, it is important to know the history of it. Now, if you are someone like me who really gets bored of listening to the history stories, don't worry about it. This history story is not going to be boring at all. Rather, it is going to encourage you, and it is going to boost the confidence in you of the fact that you are going to devote your next 40 days for learning JavaScript. The history goes like this. In 1995, Brendan Knight creates JavaScript in 10 days at Netscape. 10 days, isn't it crazy? The language which was created in just 10 days in 1995, we are so much crazy about it. In the following year, Microsoft releases something called JScript for Internet Explorer, the browser of yesterday. 1997, first ecmascript was standardized, that's called ES1. In 1999, ES3 introduced two exceptional features in JavaScript. One is regex and another is exception handling. And then Ajax came into picture. which was revolutionary because there are a lot of players like Google that time in 2005 you started using Ajax, and then in 2006 jQuery came in and started simplifying JavaScript. I think this is the time I started my JavaScript journey. jQuery was the first thing which moved me apart. It's like, wow, this is something really cool to learn JavaScript. And then in 2009 ES5 came with JSON, then map, filter, reduce, all these methods from array. 2010 AngularJS was very much popularized, and I think that was the first such framework that I started using in 2010, AngularJS being one. 2013 the game started shifting towards React.js with its component driven architecture. 2014 ecmascripts become a standard to have an update every year. 2015 ES6 came. That's when we started calling it as modern JavaScript because it came with a lot of modernities like late, const, all the specifier, then classes, modules, arrow functions to be specific. Then 2016 we got something called Vue.js, which was like gaining as popularity as React was since 2013. 2017 ES8 got async await, the old way of dealing with promises, now the new and the easiest way of dealing with promises with async await, making asynchronous programming a lot easier. 2019 ES10 introduced something called flat map, that's again from array. 2020 Deno came into picture, Node came way long back. In 2021 we got new logical assignment operator. 2022 we got ES13, we got ES14, and in 2024 with React and Next.js we got things like React Server Components. 2025 JavaScript is still rocking, it's continue to evolving, and we are solving a lot of problems with AI driven features, with web assemblies and all these advancements. So if you look into this chart, it's just not about JavaScript, isn't it? JavaScript had got started, then it got from client side to server side with Node.js, then it got a lot of features in it, then it got React very popular with all its feature. And not only React, there are things like Angular, things like SolidJS, Vue.js, lots such frameworks and libraries that started coming. Frameworks like Next.js, Remix, all these things are based on JavaScript, and it is not yet stopping. Even in 2025 it is very much rocking and something that you must learn fundamentally. So I hope this history doesn't bore you. Rather, it encourages you to learn JavaScript much, much deeply. Now, let's start setting up your JavaScript environment. First, we need a code editor. For that, I would recommend VS Code Editor, the Visual Studio Code. You can very well download it from Visual Studio Code Editor website. The link is in the description of this video, but I feel that most of you have this editor with you. But if you don't have, just follow the instructions over here, download it for your operating system, and it's very easy like any other application that you download. After VS Code you need a browser because that's where we are going to start executing our JavaScript code. I use Chrome browser a lot, so I'll be using Chrome browser. You can use any other browser like Edge, Safari, or Firefox of your choice. Whatever the browser you use, in that browser there will be something called a DevTools. You can right click on your browser and then you will find something called inspect. Just click on inspect and this is going to open up the dev tools for it. While we are taking the journey of 40 days of JavaScript, I'm going to teach you a lot of things about this dev tools itself, like how do you debug your JavaScript code, what is the efficient way of handling these dev tools. All these things we are going to learn. But for now you make sure that you are able to open up these dev tools and you're able to switch through different tabs that you see over here. The tab called console is what we are going to use a lot, but there are other tabs like network, performance, memory, applications are also we are going to touch in the upcoming sessions. And then the last thing you need as part of your environment is something called Node.js. We may not be using it very often in the beginning of this 40 days journey, but from the mid or towards the end, we are definitely going to use Node.js a lot. So go to nodejs.org. Again, the link is there in the description of this video. Go pull it out and you will find something called download node.js. Go to download node.js, download the package and install it. That's all about the setup. Now we are going to write our first line of code using JavaScript. There are various ways that you can start coding JavaScript when you are learning. One is definitely using VS Code, or the alternate way would be on your browser itself. As I showed you before, that you can click on inspect, come to your developer tool, and then go to your console. This is the place you can start writing JavaScript straight away, and it will execute your JavaScript code and going to give you the output right there. So let's write a single line of JavaScript code. Let's do console dot log and then double quote, say hello JavaScript, double quote closed, parenthesis closed, give a semicolon and press enter. What you get? You get an output. We will understand what is console.log. We'll understand why this double quote is important. We'll understand, is this semicolon really mandatory? All these things one by one. But here the point is, we are able to execute a line of JavaScript code on the browser itself without any editor, using the Chrome DevTools and the console tab. What you have done at a high level, you are telling that you want to log a text, which we also call string in the programming language, on the console. That's why console.log, and this is the text, this is the string you are trying to log or you are trying to print. This is what exactly it is doing over here. So you got an output from your first JavaScript programming line. Now let's do the similar thing in much more sophisticated way that you will be doing in your actual programming using Visual Studio Code. So here goes the Visual Studio Code that I have installed. And if you go to File, Open Folder, and then select a folder, the selected folder will appear here. I have selected a folder called day01, which is an empty folder for me. So you can create an empty folder and select that folder to make it appear in your Visual Studio Code. Why is it important? Because you can organize all your files and folder related to JavaScript programming language, related to your learning, in under one folder. So what we are going to do for each day's lesson, we are going to create different folder like day01, day02, day03, like till day 40. And inside that, we're going to keep all our files and folders organized so that any point in time you can go back and you can refer to them. All this code that I'll be writing for every session will be there in my GitHub, and the link to the GitHub is also there in the description of this video. So if you want to refer any point in time, you can always refer. If you like the work, please give a start to that repository. All right, so let's do a sophisticated way of JavaScript programming, or start with that. We say that JavaScript is something which is used for client side and also in the server side. Let's see the client side of the thing. When you say client side of the thing, it can run on the web browser or can run on the mobile devices, maybe running on my Chrome browser. But whatever we see on the browser is something visible always, something that I can see, I can interact with. So the thing that provide the structure or the visual aspect of your web page on your browser is something called HTML. So HTML is the one which provides the structure. Now, only structure is not useful. Having just a button with HTML is not useful. You need to click on the button, and the button should be interactive enough to do something. So that interaction, the work for that button to do something, is the part that JavaScript bringing. And when the HTML and JavaScript are together, making your entire web application or the web page beautiful with styling and all, that's where CSS come into picture. So HTML, CSS, and JavaScript all together makes your web application much more richer and the user friendly the way that you would like to be. So the better way of including JavaScript would be with HTML. So let's write our first HTML, a very tiny HTML, and let's see like what are the different ways we can get JavaScript into it. So I'll click on this icon, which is called new file. And here, let me create something called first.html. Now inside this first.html, you can write every bit and pieces of your HTML, but definitely this is not 40 days of HTML. This is 40 days of JavaScript. So we are going to do a little faster on HTML and as slow as possible in JavaScript so that you learn things well. So I'm going to use few shortcuts in terms of creating faster HTML. I have actually created a video, a tips and tricks video, like how you can use some of these shortcuts, which also we call emits, to create your HTML structure much quickly. You can take a look at it. I have given that video link in the description of this video as well. So for example, on VS Code, if you want to create a basic HTML structure, you just give this exclamation sign and then press enter. You see your entire HTML has got created. And if you are doing 40 days of HTML, I want you to hand code it, but right now this is fine. So here we have a few things. So for example, we have a doc type, we have the root HTML tag, then we have something called head, and then we have something called body. So anything that you write inside a body that appears on your web page. So for example, if I now write a h1 tag, which is a heading tag, say welcome to JavaScript, and if I run this particular page on my browser, I'll be able to see welcome to JavaScript. Now to run the HTML page on your browser, I use an extension called live server, and that extension you can install from this left side, this particular icon, click on it and then search for liveserver, live server. Here is the live server. You can install it. I have already installed it, so it is showing uninstalled. Once you install this guy, you will be able to see something called go live at the bottom here. You're seeing this? Now click on this go live being on this HTML page. This will open up a browser for you and it will show the output of that HTML on your browser on a particular URL. So it's showing first.html. You are able to see here, welcome to JavaScript, because this is the heading we have written in our HTML. Excellent. Now let's go back to Visual Studio Code once more. And now it's time to include some script. There are various ways that you can include script. One of the way that you can include script is inline into your HTML itself. And each of these methodologies having its own pros and cons. We will understand all the methodologies and then we'll understand what is the best methodology to go ahead with. All right. If I want to include a script inline in my HTML, I can do it with a tag called script. And inside the script tag, I can write any JavaScript. Till now, we have learned only one line of JavaScript, that is the console.log. It means that if I am running this HTML page on a browser, on that browser's console, I can now log something using JavaScript. This much I have learned by directly logging from the browser. Now I can do the same thing from this HTML page. So for that purpose, let me write my first code. Please code with me. Just don't watch the video because that is when you will learn more. And then when I'm talking about the assignment at the end, you will be learn it double way. So console.log, let's say, hello JavaScript. Done. Now let's go back to our web page. It is the same output. I don't see anything. Yes, because I have not written any other HTML to render on this page, but rather I have written a script so that on this page, Chrome DevTools console, I can see this log. So I wrote hello JavaScript. I see hello JavaScript over here. So now you have included a JavaScript into your HTML directly. But my friend, that's not the right way of doing things, because in programming, you will be learning a philosophy or methodology called separation of concern, keeping the things and the duties separate. It means that HTML's job is to do structuring. So let HTML do structuring part of it. JavaScript job is to bring dynamic behavior for your page. So keep them separated. And CSS is for styling, keep them separated. So basically HTML, JavaScript, CSS are in different files. And whenever what you need, you just include them appropriately and make it work. This also gives some amount of reusability. So for example, if I have a separate file for keeping all my JavaScript, if some part of that JavaScript is required somewhere else, I will be able to use it tomorrow in some of the other way. We learn that when you learn about the modules and all those things, that really happens. Same for CSS. If I keep all my CSS into bunch of CSS file. Wherever I require the relevant CSS, I can just import them and start using them. The same philosophy. So with the same philosophy, what we are going to do now, we are going to knock off this script which we have written in line inside the HTML and rather keep it somewhere outside and then include that or import that into our HTML and make use of it. Let's do that. So for that purpose, let's create one more file over here and we call it as test.js. You can give any name of your choice, but you can have a convention of creating the file with the smaller case when you're creating the JavaScript files. And if there are multi-word, it can be separated with a hyphen. So for example, if I have to give the name as test script, I can give the name as test hyphen script.js. This also works. Okay. So let's keep it test.js. And here, as usual, I'm going to do something like console.log because we have learned only console.log. I am a test script. This is what I am going to log. This is the only JavaScript that I have written. Great, no worries about that. Now, in the first.html file, I'm going to take this out and inside the head tag. So in HTML, you have body and anything you put inside body, that's what you render. But anything you want to configure for that HTML, you put inside the head. It is the head, brain of your body, and the body is the below part, right? So that's how we are physically. Similarly, HTML's head is where you put a lot of things. Is at the configuration level. Maybe you want to import a style, you want to import a script, you want to do something for your web page SEO, you want to give a title. All these thing comes under head. But whatever you want to render, whatever you want to show on the web page comes under body. Simple explanation. Now over here inside head, I can write a tag called script. Again, if you want to use the shorthand to write script, you can do script : src and then enter. This is going to create the tag for you called script and with an src attribute. Src means source. This is where you specify which JavaScript file you want to import to make it work with your HTML. So we have created a test.js file, isn't it? So I can give the path to this test.js file. Simple, the work is done. So right now over here, there is no console.log, only one console.log inside the test.js file, which is way different than the previous console.log, which used to say, hey, JavaScript. Here we say, I am a test script. So this is running already. If I go to that web page and go to the console, I'm seeing that I am a test script is already getting logged. So this way of importing script is also working. And this is your first step towards doing good and clean coding. But this is still not the ideal way. With JavaScript, you have a bunch of other ways of importing your script or including your script into HTML. And you got to learn the use case of each of those. Now let me demonstrate those use cases to you so that you understand and you appreciate them and you know what is the best way of going about it. Now to do that, I want to bring few more things for our web page, but not writing on the HTML directly, but rather JavaScript way. On the same page, under H1, let us add one div tag. Div we use to create a section in your web page. And inside the section, you can keep anything. You can keep other text, button, or any element. Now, for every element on your web page, you can identify those elements with a unique identifier, which you call ID. So for this div, I can give an unique identifier using the ID attribute, and I can give any ID name here. It's your choice. I am giving some ID. Some ID means if I tell some ID, this particular div will say, hey, I am that div whose ID is some ID. Did you call me? What do you want to do with me? Something like this. We learn this concept in much deeper way when we talk about the DOM in future. But for now, let's consider this is a div. There is an ID whose ID is some ID. Now what we're going to do, instead of creating a text over here, a hard-coded text over here, we are going to make use of this ID to call this div and put a text dynamically in this div. Okay. Why I'm doing this? Because I want to show you the right way of including script. All are related. So for that purpose, I'll go to test.js file. So over here, we're going to write a line of code that you don't have to understand too much right now. as we're going to get deeper into it when you go for DOM. What is this line says? This entire HTML is something that you treat as a document. Okay? A document, but which is a HTML document. Now, in this document, if you want to get any element by its ID, you will call something called document.getElementById. Just like English. In this document, get an element by its ID. Simple. So what I'll write here, document dot get element by ID, and here you will pass the ID of the element that you want to access. So document.getElementById, if I pass some ID, it is going to return me this particular div. Now inside this div, I am going to put some text. So I'll do dot inner text. Again, you don't have to really remember this because we're going to cover this in depth in future. Here I'll add some text, say some div or I am some div. That's it. That's it, our JavaScript code. So what we have done, again, I have a body. Here is a h1 static text. Here is a div no static text. Rather, JavaScript is going to read this div and then insert a text dynamically using this code whenever JavaScripts get loaded in this HTML file. That's the expectation. So if I'm going to go to the web page now, I am supposed to see this welcome to JavaScript, and below that I'm going to see a div. Inside that div I'm going to see a text I am some div, isn't it? That's your expectation. Let's go and see what is actually happening. Oh, I am saying welcome to JavaScript, but I don't see I am some div at all. Rather, in the console, I'm seeing an error, which is saying uncaught type error, cannot set properties of null, setting inner text. So many things if you're a newcomer. Don't worry about it. We are going to learn all about this null and everything in the future sessions. But the important thing is it didn't work. That's what we have to solve and understand why it didn't work and how to solve it. It says cannot read the properties of null. Null means think about it doesn't exist some way. Okay, its value is not there. On that null, I am going to set something called inner text. So if I go to my JavaScript code, this is where inner text. So he's saying that, okay, this is probably null. That means I'm not able to identify it. Why I'm not able to identify it? Because I have given this particular script tag inside head. Okay. And now I have to understand how putting the script inside the head can impact that particular script's execution. This is very important. Let's understand it graphically. When you have a HTML and a script imported or included inside this HTML, there are few things happens. One is when you are running that HTML page on your browser is first going to download that HTML on browser and then is going to build something called DOM, DOM, document object model. We'll go deeper, way deeper with that. But for now, you can think it's a tree-like structure, and in that tree-like structure, each of those HTML element that you have used, it resides on the node of that tree-like structure. And there is another phase is called executing the script if you are including a script into the HTML. These three broader things happen when you load a HTML file on your browser. First download, building the DOM, downloading the script that you have imported, and then execute the script. Okay, these 4 steps, that's what we are seeing over here. Now let's concentrate on this part. When we put a script tag inside head, then what happened? What happened? So browser start reading your HTML page from the top. At the top, what is there? At the top, there is something called HTML, then head, then body, etc. So here is going to start reading, start parsing. So it means that it's downloading the HTML and building the DOM. That's what the color indicator, orange. So downloading the HTML, building the DOM, downloading the HTML, building the DOM, DOM. Oh, I saw a script in the head tag. Downloading the script, and as I download the script, I'll be executing the script. The moment I download the script, I means browser will execute the script, and then I'll continue with the remaining HTML parsing. So when I'm putting this thing into the script tag, just like that, this is how things will work. HTML will start parsing. There is a script tag. Download the script, execute the script, then continue with your rest of the HTML parsing. Let's go back to VS Code and try to understand the flow with this particular visualization. So here what will happen? The HTML parsing will go on, go on, go on. Great, HTML parsing going on. Oh, here I found a script. Download the code that is written inside test.js file. Go to test.js file, download this code. Great, console.log gets executed. Now download this code, document.getElementById.SomeId. So it means I'm saying JavaScript, in my HTML, can you find an element whose ID is some ID and do something? But I have executed or parsed my HTML only till here. I have not even gone to find this div down. So at this stage, JavaScript cannot really have any idea about that. Below, there is another div whose ID is some ID. Because so far, the parsing happened only till here. JavaScript doesn't have any idea, no idea at all. So it means that JavaScript doesn't know what is some ID. That's why it will return something called null, because it doesn't know the value. And that's where we are getting that error that on null we cannot call something called inner text. We cannot do our job basically. Now after this execution, after the script execution, script first line got executed, no problem, because there is no dependency on any element. It is just about putting a log into the console.log. But here you have a dependency on one of the HTML element. That HTML element is not parsed yet. So JavaScript will throw an error. It will finish its execution. Then rest of the thing will go on. Then body will come. This h1 will come. This div will come. Nothing will go inside it because this line has failed. But still an empty div will be created with ID some ID. There will be body. There will be HTML. Let's go back to our page and see this in action. So if I inspect using this, you can inspect each of the elements. When I inspect this one, I see this h1. Below h1, do you see there is a div with the some ID, but nothing has really gone inside it. So parsing of HTML happened, but the script works didn't happen because when script was executing, it didn't identify this div at all because the div was below and the script was in the head. Now to fix this, developers found another way. What they started doing is, if I take this one and put it at the end of the body, let's see over here. Now what is happening? It is guaranteed that this particular script is definitely going to get downloaded and executed only after everything getting downloaded and executed. And in this case, I don't need this script over here inside head. I'll remove it. So now it is guaranteed. It starts parsing from here, gets parsing. Okay, great. In body, this also parse. Now I have the div parsed with the ID some ID. Now if this script is getting downloaded and executed, it will definitely find this document.getElementById some ID because this is already parsed and added to the DOM. So it will be successfully able to call this inner text. It will successfully be able to add this I am a some div into my HTML. You want to see that? Let's see that. Here it is. It printed that console.log. Welcome to JavaScript was added statically and I am some div also got added. If I go ahead and inspect this, now I'll be able to see this h1 and again a div with the ID some ID. Inside that I am some div. Excellent, it worked. This is how it works. Our parsing has started, downloading HTML, parsing, building DOM, all done. At the end of the body, now I am downloading the JavaScript, done. Then I am executing the JavaScript. It is great, it works. Fantastic. But this also has a problem. What is the problem with this? The problem with this is that things are pretty sequential. It means that for your JavaScript to download and execute, you are waiting till your entire HTML parsing and the DOM building to happen. What if this JavaScript is a heavy one and it has a lot of code and downloading it takes a while? Then your entire application or entire page to come responsive or come alive, it takes this much of duration. It's not great, isn't it? Because you want something which is faster. So it means that what if something like that whenever I am parsing this HTML, I'm making this HTML ready for all DOM and all kind of execution, in parallel, can I download my JavaScript and keep it ready? That would be the ideal situation. Usually you will be downloading this HTML, downloading the CSS and the JavaScript from a server over the network. So it takes some time. So while you are downloading and parsing this HTML, you can also download and keep your JavaScript ready in parallel. So you save that time. That will be the awesome thing to do. Now, if you want to do this, there are two ways of doing it, using something called async and something called defer. Let's do that and understand what they do. Okay, so I came back to the same code, and instead of putting it into the body now, which I told is not a great thing, let's put it back inside the head. And now I can use something called an async. If you use this particular thing called async, in this case, the behavior of your script execution will be like this. Your JavaScript will be downloaded in parallel with your HTML download and DOM building. So the first problem, whatever we saw over here, is solved. However, once the script is downloaded, immediately after that, or immediately on that point, your HTML downloading and DOM building will be paused. The parsing of HTML will be paused. This script will be executed immediately. After this script execution is done, your remaining HTML parsing, building, DOM will take place. So this problem I have solved, but it seems this problem still remains, isn't it? Because think of a situation that this guy has got downloaded in parallel with it, and this got downloaded quite before this HTML parsing has got over. So it means immediately after it's getting downloaded, it will start execute it, and only after that it will continue with the remaining parsing. Now, if your this JavaScript having any code that has to access any element on the remaining of your HTML, you will again face the same problem that you faced over here. Logically, pure logic. Here also, you had a code, you were accessing an element, a div, whose code, the element was placed in the rest of the HTML that is not parsed. So this JavaScript could not find it. Here also same thing can happen. Though you are downloading it, but your execution is happening. Your execution may happen well before some portion of the HTML is being parsed. So then why this exists if it is not solving the exact problem that we are seeing for the last two? This async you should use with JavaScript, which doesn't depend or which is not related to any of the HTML or doesn't work on any of the HTML element on your HTML page. Will we ever use a JavaScript like that? Yes, we will. Think about the third-party libraries. For example, an analytics library or analytics script, or a script that gives you a chatbot. Those are the script are the external program that not necessarily do any action on your web page, or maybe the tiny WhatsApp button at the top left that you see on the website. You click on it, one pop-up comes, ask you to start chatting. Those things doesn't have anything to do with your HTML structure, HTML element, HTML DOM. They independently work. They work independently, and independent script. So if you think this one of such script, and this is your HTML, so your HTML is getting parsed, your this script is getting downloaded, it takes a while to get executed, then your remaining HTML will proceed. So that means it doesn't have anything to do with your this HTML, so it will never make anything fail in your application. Rather, in parallel, there is something from the outside, there is something that is not related to your application directly, is getting downloaded and getting ready to be used. So this is where you will be using async. And the last methodology which will be used more often is called defer. What exactly defer do? Let's understand again visually, and then we'll come and see the output. This is how defer works. Exactly like async, when you use defer with your script tag, the script is going to get downloaded in parallel with your HTML download and the DOM building. Great, great, great. So far, so good. But a great part of defer is this script is never going to get executed immediately after download. It is going to be deferred. Deferred means keeping for the future. It will be deferred to execute only after your entire HTML download is done, parsing is done, DOM building is done. So that means in this case, you don't have any chance of these failures that we have seen right over here or over here. If this particular script has anything to do with any element in your HTML, it is guaranteed to be there, because this phase is completely getting over. Then only with your execution of the script, you are going to take action on this. And also with that, the download of your JavaScript is happening in parallel with your HTML. So that means you're also saving on time and performance. So that's why among all this, if it is not an external script, you always use defer. If it is an external script which doesn't have anything to do with your HTML element or the DOM, you use async. That's how async and defer differs. Now, if you want to understand it much deeply with an application, I have a separate video for that. I have created some time back, but still relevant. You can take a look at it. I have provided that video link also in the description of this video. Your choice. But whatever I have explained so far, that should be enough. Now let's go ahead with this defer. If I run the application, that's it. Everything is running. If I refresh also, see, everything is running. Welcome to JavaScript. I am Samdev. I am a test script, no error at all. If I go to elements, I'll be able to see the H1 and the dev ID. So that's how things work. I hope this is crystal clear to you. So far we have seen things with client side. Now let us quickly see how JavaScript can be utilized for the server side as well. That will give us the clear picture that JavaScript can be used everywhere and anywhere, right? So under day one, let's create one more file called script.js. And here let's give another console.log. And let's say hello from Node.js. Now you can open up a terminal, command prompt, whatever, or from VS Code itself, you can go to this terminal and say new terminal. This will open up a new command prompt for you. Now over here, first of all, you can check with node space -v that you have installed Node.js correctly or not. It's going to show you a version. You are seeing this version over here, node-b version 23.7.0 is what I'm using. Now you can execute this particular script on the Node.js environment using the command called node space the particular file name that you want to execute is script.js. If I press enter, this is going to log on my node console on my command prompt saying hello from Node.js. This is what we have given actually. This is not running on your browser. This is running on your node environment. Now, Node.js is completely a different learning. Maybe someday 30 days of Node.js will come, but don't worry about it because we'll be doing in a project in the 40 days of JavaScript where some portion of Node.js we're definitely going to touch and run, set up, run server, all these things we are going to do. But this is to give you a glimpse that JavaScript can be run from client side, which you have seen from browser, various ways to include and import, and also from the server side. So, hey, hope you learned something new. Now, before we go and talk about the task and the assignments, I want to say like what I am going to cover in the next session and the next video, which will be coming in next couple of days. I'm going to get into understanding of variables, get into the understanding of let, const, var, all these things that exist. Want to understand how value works, what are the different types of value exist, what is passed by value, passed by reference, all these aspects, because these are all pure fundamentals, not only in JavaScript, any programming language that you go, but in JavaScript, you have to understand, because some of this concept of primitive, non-primitive, mutability, immutability will haunt you in React and any other libraries or framework if you don't understand them much fundamentally. So that's coming in the next video. So guys, if you find this helpful, please smash that like button, subscribe to tapaScript, be part of this 40 days of JavaScript, because you're going to learn a lot and I'm sure that you're going to enjoy a lot. So before we go away and come back with the day 2 to master JavaScript together again, let me show you the task that you have to perform and what you need to do. Again, you are going to find this task in the readme.md of that project folder that's there in the description of the video. The link is there. It's in my GitHub repository. If you just open up, this is the assignment task. The task one is to set up your environment. You install VS Code, you set up live server, open a HTML file, and open DevTools, see that things are working or not. If you already know, and if the setup is done for you, skip it. Write your first HTML, add a script tag inside HTML, link from your external script.js file. Inside the script.js file, put this command and then run the HTML, see this command gets executed successfully. Then experiment with the async, defer, all these things that I taught you, understand the differences. And then, of course, I have provided you a progress template, a progress tracker. Note down what you have learned from there, and then come to our Discord. So this is our 40 days of JavaScript under tapaScript Discord channel. The link is there in the description. Again, you can go and join following the link. Come to 40 days of JavaScript. You can find it at the bottom. There you will find something called task assignments. Over here, post your task assignment completion link. If you're putting your code into GitHub, please post that GitHub link. If you want to share certain screenshot, feel free to share over here. If you have any questions, you can post it on the general. If you have question about the task, post on the task. So let's collaborate and win. Let's learn together. So with that, thank you everyone. Stay well, stay connected. Very soon coming up with the second video of 40 days of JavaScript.